I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and wow, I'm not gonna lie, I threw this name out there a couple of days ago, but I actually did not expect us to go and actually get this guy. The Washington Commanders have signed former first-round pick quarterback Marcus Mariota, most recently with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a strong connection there in our coaching staff. We're going to talk about that later. Also, does this mean that Jayden Daniels is more likely to be the pick at number 2 overall now that we got somebody with a similar skill set to his? Maybe they want to transition to be fairly seamless. Say if like Jayden Daniels were to get hurt, I guess you would have a Marcus Mariota there, which also means, are we about to trade Sam Howell? And it was reported a week ago through Ben Standig that 2 NFL execs are actually willing to trade at least a minimum 4th-round pick for Sam Howell. We're going to dive into all of that and more, including if we were, just say we were to trade Sam Howell, because we could be overlooking this whole thing. We could be reading into this way too much, and maybe they do still want to keep Sam Howell. But just say that we do trade away Sam Howell. What are some potential draft picks, some guys that will be available with that potential 4th-round pick if we were to go through with that trade? But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned, because again, I'm gonna keep saying it in every video. I'm keeping y'all updated on every little thing the Commanders are doing. Yes, I saw the Cleveland Farrell signing. I'm getting to that immediately after this one. I finally was able to get the Dorrance Armstrong signing after all of this stuff that happened. We've been so active. I've been falling behind on these videos, man. I'm working on one, then another one happens. I gotta hurry up and do that. It's been chaos, but stay tuned, because I promise you I'm going to do a video on every single person that we end up signing, and I will keep y'all updated on every rumor that's also out there, like us potentially trading Sam Howell for at least a 4th-round pick like we're going to talk about in this video, or like a couple of videos ago where I talked about how the Commanders are still rumored to potentially be a landing spot for linebacker Patrick Queen from the Ravens. Keep y'all updated on everything. This is your one-stop shop for everything Commanders. Let's go ahead and get to it, man. Let's get it. All right, so we ended up getting them for more money than I ever expected. Again, I threw his name out there, but I didn't expect us to get him at all, let alone for the amount of money that we're giving him. So this all started when Adam Schefter tweeted / reported, because again, Twitter is literally the place to report stuff now, even before they release articles on it. Former Eagles quarterback Marcus Mariota is signing with the Washington Commanders on a 1-year deal with a base value of $6 million and an upside to like $10 million. So that's really interesting, because if you think about it, if he reaches that $10 million, which I highly doubt he does, because I'm pretty sure that's heavily incentivized, and we're hoping that Marcus Mariota doesn't have to play enough games to reach that 10 million side of things, that's really close to the money that we ended up giving Jacoby Brissett last year, even though his was fully guaranteed. But still, Marcus Mariota has the upside to reach that same amount of money. So that means that they do value him as a backup quarterback. This is not just some extremely cheap. I mean, Russell Wilson just signed for a veteran minimum with the Steelers, even though he's getting paid so much money by the Broncos that, I mean, he would have played for free for the Steelers if he could have, basically. But still, man. But at the end of the day, $6 million base means that he's not that expensive, but he can become more expensive if for some reason, even after we potentially take quarterback number 2 overall, Marcus Mariota is able to play enough to reach that $10 million. I hope he definitely doesn't. But this makes sense, because the Patriots went and took quarterback Jacoby Brissett away from us, and it already looked like we more than likely weren't going to keep him. We weren't in the market of outbidding people to keep Jacoby Brissett. Again, even though Marcus Mariota has an upside of $10 million worth of contract, again, his actual like base guarantee salary is $6 million. That's all he's going to hit the cap space for. Whereas Jacoby Brissett hit the cap space for a fully guaranteed $10 million last year, 4 more than Marcus Mariota, and I'm pretty sure that teams were outbidding each other trying to fight over to get this guy, and he was definitely a more high quality backup quarterback option out there for a team that actually may potentially need like a week 1 starter if the quarterback that they draft is not ready to go immediately. So Marcus Mariota is coming here to be a straight up backup, but based on the pay and the way the contract is structured, maybe like a high-end backup, but Jacoby Brissett is even more than a high-end backup. I think the Patriots probably expect him to have to start week 1, even if they do end up taking potentially like a Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye with the number 3 overall pick. And right now it's more than likely looking like Drake Maye. We're going to talk about that. So we did need a veteran quarterback. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. That was a need that we had. I talked about this in my free agency preview video, like the night before that the tampering period started and we started making all of these ridiculous signings and everything. I'm super excited. We've been so active and I love the contracts we're signing these guys to. But I acknowledge the fact that, hey man, this next regime may not be that attached to Howell. And even if they are, he has a ceiling, but he doesn't necessarily have a floor that you would prefer in a backup quarterback that when in doubt, if they have to go out there and win games for you, they potentially could. You could depend on them and trust them to be able to do so. So again, I don't think Howell counts as like a veteran backup quarterback to this regime. He's still fairly raw in certain areas. So that is why they went and got a Marcus Mariota. But again, I threw his name out there just a couple of days ago, just simply because of his connection to Brian Johnson, who was the Eagles quarterback coach 2 years ago, the offensive coordinator last year, and now he's our passing game coordinator and assistant head coach this year. Plus, I was thinking, if we go mobile quarterback in the draft, potentially, more than likely like a Jayden Daniels, we would need a mobile quarterback to be his backup just in case the mobile starter gets hurt for whatever reason. We could run basically like the same plays, run the same style of offense, not have to change it up too much, basically not have to rip out certain plays of the playbook. Maybe Marcus Mariota wise, compared to like a Jayden Daniels, for example, we wouldn't take as many deep shots, but as far as like a lot of QB running things, we would still be able to run a lot of the same playbook that Cliff Kingsbury wants to run no matter what. But I'm not about to sit here and act like Marcus Mariota is going to come here and be better than he's ever been. I'm not even about to sell y'all on that. It's not like we brought him in here to potentially get back to his first round self, but the most notable part of this news is, of course, does this mean that the Commanders are possibly leaning towards Jayden Daniels over Drake Maye at number 2 overall in the draft? First of all, that's more money than I expected to give Marcus Mariota, even if we did actually sign him, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. I mean, I wasn't even sure about actually just getting him in general, let alone giving him a deal that's potentially going to be expensive as like a Jacoby Brissett in total money. Not necessarily guarantees, though. So they are higher on Marcus Mariota than I expected. I thought if we did end up getting them, it would go for less than that. I'm not mad at it, but it just shows how much they actually do want Marcus Mariota. And maybe there was competition out there for him. And then with them prioritizing mobility in a quarterback rather than getting a veteran that wins games with his arm and his IQ, it's sounding like they're prioritizing mobility in a quarterback room in general. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but that's what it sounds like. And then when you look at Marcus Mariota at his best and what he was supposed to be coming out of the draft, coming out of Oregon, who does he remind you of the most? And it's looking like Jayden Daniels is the answer there, folks. Not gonna lie to y'all. Like, out of all of the top quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, Jayden Daniels is the guy with the play style that's the closest to Marcus Mariota easily. I do want to acknowledge, though, that Drake Maye has underrated mobility, but it's not Jayden Daniels territory at all, man. It's not to that level. The parallels are too crazy, too, because Marcus Mariota was also a number 2 overall draft pick in the first round when he was coming out of the draft. And hopefully whoever we end up taking at number 2 overall, whether it's Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye, doesn't end up with a career path like him. I'm hoping whoever we take ends up balling out. But again, it's starting to really look like Jayden Daniels. If you're talking about, if you are the type, including me, to look at Marcus Mariota like maybe we want our starter to be similar to our backup, which makes a lot of sense for playbook reasons and play calling reasons and seamless transition reasons if the starter does get hurt, like I've already talked about, then Jayden Daniels makes the most sense. And you even have Brett Coleman, who's just a complete national film study type of guy. Absolutely no attachment to the Commanders. I think if anything, I think he's a Steelers fan or something like that. But either way, he has no attachment to the Commanders. And he even went and like changed his tweet that he had back in May 16th talking about basically making a joke that if the Patriots somehow end up with Caleb Williams, it would be like the Spurs ending up with Wembanyama. And then he went and changed Caleb Williams to Drake Maye, because it's basically like, yeah, let's just go ahead and pencil in Drake Maye, because it's obvious that the Commanders are going Jayden Daniels number 2 overall. And it's already been starting to trend that way. We've already been seeing guys like Chris Sims, Field Yates, Mel Kiper, Dan Orlovsky, Louis Riddick, a lot of people coming out and saying that Jayden Daniels is not only the better pick at number 2 overall, but they're saying like it's obvious, like it's just, there's no way the Commanders don't go Jayden Daniels number 2 overall. Like at this point, we should just go ahead and it should be a debate between J.J. McCarthy and Drake May, who's going to be taken 3rd overall at this point, more so than who's going to be taken 2nd overall by the Commanders. I mean, it's gotten to that point. So again, it's Lion season. Who knows? All of this, a lot of the things I'm talking about, other than the fact that we just signed Marcus Mariota, could all be a part of the Lion season brand. But who absolutely knows? Also, shouts out to Chris Cooley for pointing this out, because I completely agree. Could the Marcus Mariota signing point towards Daniels at number 2? Most definitely. But reports said that they were also talking to Darnold yesterday, as in Sam Darnold. But he ended up going to the Minnesota Vikings, but there's an Adam Peters connection with Sam Darnold. So it could just be that Marcus Mariota just simply has that connection with Brian Johnson, and that's the reason that we got him, because Brian Johnson is familiar with him. He trusts him as a backup quarterback because he's worked with them for a while now. So maybe it's literally just that simple. Maybe they prioritize Sam Darnold. I was literally working on the report that we were interested in Sam Darnold and talking to him, but he went to Minnesota, and maybe we prefer Sam Darnold over Marcus Mariota, and it was just simply a case of Sam Darnold chose the Vikings over the Commanders. And I feel like if that's the case, it's more than likely because the Minnesota Vikings give him the best route to starting potentially, because I mean, hey, the Vikings probably will go quarterback in the draft, but it may be a J.J. McCarthy, and I would, as a backup quarterback, prefer to be the backup to a J.J. McCarthy than Jayden Daniels. Most notably, even if it isn't Jayden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy, just say mystery quarterback for both situations. I would prefer to be the backup quarterback of a team that's not picking 2nd overall than the team that's picking 2nd overall. Just plain and simple. So I'm not mad at Sam Darnold for picking the Vikings over us. First of all, I just didn't even want Sam Darnold. I wanted to stay as far away from him as possible. I was going to talk about that when I reported on the fact that we were talking to Sam Darnold. I was like, oh, please no. And even though Marcus Mariota isn't much better, at the very least, I prefer him over Sam Darnold, man. I'm really, really against Sam Darnold. I am sorry. And even though Marcus Mariota isn't great either, man, he's just not Sam Darnold bad, man, at least from what I've seen recently. Also, Chris Cooley brought up a great point as well. Rivera probably would have signed Marcus Mariota too, but to be a long-term starter. So that's the difference between what we're doing now and what we used to do, basically. But Mariota was literally supposed to be who we hope Jayden Daniels will be at the NFL level. So it just makes too much sense on my end. We could be reading into this too much. I do acknowledge that. This could be Lion season. We could be overthinking things, but it just makes too much sense. But either way, even though Sam Howell is pretty mobile as well, does this mean that they are potentially trying to trade Sam Howell away? I would personally love to keep Sam Howell around just as a selfish Commanders fan, because I think he does have talent. But on top of us signing Marcus Mariota, it was reported a week ago that, according to Ben Standig, Sam Howell has been linked to multiple trade rumors amongst multiple NFL teams. Ben Standig of The Athletic said that 2 NFL front office executives have suggested that they would trade, quote, at least a 4th round pick, unquote, for Sam Howell. And that's at least 2 people. And we were seeing reports like weeks ago that maybe we could even get a 3rd round pick for him. But we're just going to stick with the 4th round pick floor that's being reported from a trustworthy source like Ben Standig, who, similar to Nikki Javala and John Com, prefers to be right more so than early and quick. So if he's saying this, he truly heard that. And I think he heard a lot of those rumors and reports and was actually hearing that directly from teams themselves, like their scouts and NFL decision makers at the combine. So this is not just something he just made up out of nowhere. And you usually don't bring in a backup quarterback for that much money for him to come and be quarterback 3. I think Marcus Mariota is QB2 at the least with the money that we're giving him. So either Howell is 3rd string or he's gone. And honestly, as much as I like Sam Howell, I would prefer for him to go somewhere else to compete for a starting QB job and not rot away with his rookie contract here being a 3rd string quarterback, because he deserves better than that, man. If we end up keeping him here as a 3rd string quarterback, his best hopes of any playing time would be in the second halves of preseason games. And I feel like he deserves way better than that, man. I'm not going to do that to Sam Howell. I like him more than probably most people still like him as far as the Commanders fan base goes. So I would prefer to just go ahead and trade him away, if anything, for him more so than for us. Now, of course, as a selfish fan, I would prefer for him to stay here so that we could just have 3 potentially quality quarterbacks, with us potentially taking the guy number 2 overall. But again, from the Sam Howell point of view, it's like we might as well go ahead and trade him away to a better opportunity to potentially get a chance to actually start at quarterback rather than being the 3rd stringer here. And remember, nobody in this building is attached to Howell. Nobody in this building drafted Howell. But at the same time, maybe they do want to keep Howell and go with 3 notable and talented quarterbacks in 1 QB room. And maybe this is just a situation where we're just overthinking things. Maybe, again, like I talked about earlier, maybe the only reason we brought in Marcus Mariota is because Brian Johnson is familiar with him and trusts him, and maybe that's literally it. Maybe it has nothing to do with his mobility and how close he is to Jayden Daniels' play style and things like that as far as coming out of college-wise. Who knows? But say we do trade Howell away for a 4th-round pick. That's at least 1 round higher than we drafted him. So technically that's additional value. We technically flip the 5th round pick into a 4th. And if we're taking a look at the draft, if you get an additional 4th round pick beyond what we already have with several picks in a couple of rounds, then maybe you can get Bucky Irvin, the running back from Oregon. Maybe he'll still be there. Maybe you have my boy Dominic Pooney, the very versatile, can play tackle, guard, or center from Kansas. Then you also have guys like linebacker Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State. You also have Cade Stover, tight end from Ohio State. I would love to take him with a 4th round pick. You have my Georgia dog, Tyke Smith, the safety, that, I mean, is just so great at doing so many things. I would actually be a little surprised if he makes it to the 4th round, but we'll see. You also have Cam Hart, cornerback from Notre Dame, and we reportedly interviewed him and have shown interest in him. I'm going to start working on giving y'all updates on who are some of the draft prospects that the Commanders are interested in, have met with, have gone to their pro days and things like that. And Cam Hart is one of them. So maybe there's that. There's a lot of options. You have Cooper Bebe, the guard from Kansas State, potentially, if you want to go there. Muhammad Kamara is an edge rusher from Colorado State. You have Jordan Travis, maybe if you want to take a risk on him, the quarterback from Florida State, who looked really good until he got hurt. Maybe that's around the range that you can get him. Or maybe even a tight end like Ben Sanat, who a lot of people love and feel like he should go even higher than the 4th round pick. So I'm just giving y'all all of that to say that if we were to end up trading away Sam Howell for a 4th round pick, that's the type of talent you could probably come away with in the draft because you traded away Sam Howell, and that may be worth it. Again, just to have him as a 3rd string quarterback is just like you might as well flip him into Cade Stover, in my opinion. But also, this leads me to the point that where is space left for Justin Fields at this point? What NFL team is looking for Justin Fields? Are the Bears about to potentially end up having to keep him and then end up still drafting Caleb Williams number 1 overall and then having Justin Fields as a backup? This is a crazy situation they got going on over there because the quarterback market is being taken up right now. It's being ate up. And if there were any chance that we may potentially trade for Justin Fields and trade back for the number 2 overall pick, I feel like those chances decreased with Marcus Mariota. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm also not saying that I want it to happen at all. But I think signing Marcus Mariota as your backup quarterback definitely makes it less likely. And again, I'm pretty sure the Bears are looking around like, man, this quarterback market dried up. We don't even know where we can send Justin Fields at this point. The Falcons got their starter. It seems like most people got their at least presumed to be starters. And then the Vikings got Sam Darnold as a backup. And they look like they're destined to take J.J. McCarthy. It looks like it's written. Now, we'll see what the Denver Broncos want to do. Maybe they trade for Justin Fields. Who knows? But it's not looking too good for them boys right now as far as trying to get as much value in return for trading away Justin Fields. They should have traded him before free agency even started. First of all, that's what they get for being selfish, because if they would have traded him away before free agency started, that could have helped him as well. That could have been mutually beneficial, but they wanted to sit around and wait, and now look at them. But going back to the Commanders, it was reported by ML Football just last night at 9:40 p.m. that the Commanders have had talks with many mid-level free agents and their agents. So it sounds like even after the moves we've already made, I don't think Marcus Mariota or Cleveland Farrell count towards this. So it sounds like we're probably still going shopping in free agency right now. Don't be surprised if we end up making some more signings. Things are getting really interesting, man. Also, shouts out to the Cowboys, because do you know that the Cowboys are the one and only NFL team that have yet to reach an agreement with a player on the first day of free agency. Now we're on the day 2, and guess what their breaking news signing is? Literally, at NFL, Dove Kleiman tweeted, breaking, the Commanders are finally on the board with they are re-signing long snapper Trent Sieg. That's their only free agency move right now. They've lost several players to other teams, including us. We took Pollard Biadish. We took Dorrance Armstrong Jr. from them. Apparently, we're looking at Jordan Lewis. I'm going to do a video on that soon as well. Cowboys, man, what y'all doing? What y'all doing, man? Get up, get active. You falling short, man. I don't know what y'all got going on, but it's not looking good. Y'all need to replace y'all center. Y'all got some work to do, man. Whoo-wee, man. Cowboys, is not looking fun for y'all this evening, man. The rest of the NFC East been going crazy over the past 24 hours. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Their only signing so far is them re-signing a player that was already with them last year, and it's a long snapper? Y'all gotta do better, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm that subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure y'all stay tuned, because I'm keeping y'all updated on literally everything, man, that's going on with the Commanders. I don't care how small, don't care how big, I don't care if it's a full-blown report, I don't care if it's just a rumor. We're doing a whole video on it, so stay tuned. And I'm working on more creative ideas. I want to do like a day 1 review, and I want to break down everybody's contracts, like exactly how much cap hit they're hitting us for, to give y'all the cap space update. So stay tuned. I want to do like a day 1 awards, like from day 1 of NFL legal tampering period, technically, not even necessarily for agency, because free agency starts technically Wednesday, March 13th, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. But I want to do like a day 1 awards, like who was the best signing, who came with the most value, like production per dollar, projection wise, and things like that. Who's the biggest sleeper / steal, all kinds of stuff like that, man. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm working on so many creative ideas based around the free agency signings that we've already made. Of course, I'm working on videos to help project what free agency signings we should still be looking at, and what are our biggest needs still as of right now. Is left tackle our biggest need, or is it maybe something else that we're sleeping on? So stay tuned for all of that content. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about all of this. Am I reading into this too much? Please let me know. Be honest with me. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. I did acknowledge the fact that maybe I am reading into this too much, and maybe Sam Howell is just going to be quarterback 3 here. Who knows? But either way, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I'm going to catch y'all later. Stay tuned with everything, and leave a like on the way out. I need to go ahead and work on this Cleveland Farrell video immediately after this, and then maybe if I get some calm time where the Commanders are not doing anything, but again, as a fan, I want them to keep going. But if I get any moment after the Cleveland Farrell video to finally just sit down, relax, I'm going to get back to my undid unluck, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.